So, did you hear the news about ChatGPT actually passing an MBA Wharton exam? The Wharton University, that is one of the most popular universities out there. So, Wharton MBA exam is something that ChatGPT actually passed. It also passed the US medical licensing exam. It can write essays. It also passed some microbiology quiz, and it also passed exams in 4 law school courses at the University of Minnesota. But you and I, as project managers, as PMP aspirants, or those that are already PMP certified, would love to know, can this nifty chat GPT tool actually pass the PMP exam? And that is precisely what we are going to find out today. So let me tell ChatGPT that I'm going to ask some questions to it. So what we are essentially doing is I'm going to ask 5 PMP exam questions to ChatGPT and we will see if it actually answers them correctly. All right, so let's start off. Let me sort of prime ChatGPT that I'm going to ask some questions, and it says, of course, I can help you with project management questions and provide you the best answer from the options provided. Okay, so it's asking us to go ahead and ask our first question. So this is the question that I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Which of the following is not true about iteration? There are 4 options, and here we go. Let's see what it says. It says the correct answer is D. The team must finish all planned work by the end of iteration. And remember, the question I asked is which of the following is not true about iteration? And this is absolutely correct. ChatGPT has actually selected the correct option because it is not mandatory that for each iteration that the team must finish all planned work. So ChatGPT selected the right answer and it also gave some explanation about it as well. Like in iterative project management approaches like Agile, it is not necessary for the team to finish all planned work by the end of iteration. So actually pretty good. ChatGPT just answered the question correctly and it also gave an explanation as to why it thinks that is the correct answer. Alright, so let me ask ChatGPT's second question, and this is about the basics of project management, right? Which of the following is not a characteristic of a project? And ChatGPT once again selects the correct answer. C repeats every month. This is not a characteristic of a project because a project by definition is temporary and has definite beginning and end. So ChatGPT 2 out of 2 already answered 2 questions correctly. All right, so let's get into the thick of it. Let me ask it questions around, let's say, some of the other knowledge areas that we have, right? So let me ask ChatGPT a question that I think it should still be able to answer. Let's see. So while working as the project manager of a highway construction project, you are visited by project sponsor. The sponsor asks you to lay 12-inch thick asphalt and not the 9-inch. 9-inch is the one that has been mentioned in the scope statement and WBS. So what should you as a project manager do? And ChatGPT has once again knocked it out of the park. This is the correct answer. A project manager should refuse the request and ask the sponsor to use the change management system. So ChatGPT has not just answered 3 questions correctly, it has also given us its reasoning as to why it picks a certain option. All right, let's go with question number 4. 3 on 3 right now, ChatGPT. Question 4 is, you have asked a risk analysis tool that models your project risk by running simulations that calculate random outcomes and probabilities. So it took some time. It was pretty quick in answering some of the previous questions. It took some time and it still selected the correct answer, that is Monte Carlo analysis. So 4 on 4. I just have one last question for ChatGPT. Let's see if it's able to answer this correctly. Which of the following is not a project stakeholder? And your direct competitor, ChatGPT says, is not a project stakeholder. That is actually incorrect. Anyone who can be impacted by your project, is affected by your project, or thinks that they will be affected or impacted by your project is actually a project stakeholder. So the correct answer for this question would have been none of the above, because all of these are project stakeholders. Although ChatGPT says in the context of project management, your direct competitor is typically not considered a project stakeholder. Project stakeholders are individuals or groups who have a vested interest in the project, either because they will be impacted by its outcome or because they have a role in its execution or oversight. So it's defining the stakeholders correctly. Competitors are external entities with their own objectives and interests, and they are generally not part of the project stakeholder group. So now ChatGPT is using two words here. One is typically, so your direct competitor is typically not considered a project stakeholder, and secondly it says they are generally not part of the project stakeholder group. So it seems like even ChatGPT is not 100% sure about the answer that it selected. The reason is that the best answer is none of the above, because all of these are your stakeholders. So let me actually prompt it again. Are you sure a competitor is not affected by the outcome of my project? Let's see what ChatGPT has to say, because the competitor is definitely corrected. So now ChatGPT is saying, you're right, and I apologize for any confusion. Competitors can indeed be indirectly affected by the outcome of your project, especially if your project results in changes to the market or industry landscape. In that sense, they might have an interest in your project. So in some cases, competitors could be considered stakeholders. Now, this is a problem, right? When you're taking up the PMP exam, you have to select the best answer, the answer that is crystal clear, the whitest of the whites, right? And the whitest of the white in this question is none of the above. Although ChatGPT is saying something else here, it's essential to identify and analyze all potential stakeholders, including competitors or those who may be indirectly affected, to manage and mitigate potential risks and impacts on your project. So option C, your direct competitor can be considered a stakeholder in certain project contexts. So now that I have prompted ChatGPT again, it is rethinking its answer. So let me do this. Let me ask this question again and let's see what ChatGPT says now. Now it has actually changed its answer. It says D, none of the above. The most accurate answer would be D, none of the above, because all the options mentioned, A, B, and C, can be considered project stakeholders. So still, ChatGPT got 4 out of the 5 questions I asked it absolutely correctly. So you can use ChatGPT to prepare for your PMP exam, but be mindful of the usage, right? Don't think that ChatGPT is giving you all the answers correct, because as we just saw in one of the examples, ChatGPT was actually wrong. So I hope the video was helpful. I hope it was fun. I'll catch you guys in the next one. By the way, if you want to go over some of the practice questions that we have on our YouTube channel, I'll share a link in the description below. We also have playlists around all the different knowledge areas. Everything that you need to know for your PMP exam is available in the playlist section of this channel. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.